There we go. Right, so we're in. We're actually in there. Good morning. Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, you lot are there. And Instagram, TikTok. You lot are all there. And I'm trying to work out how to put everyone so it's the easiest camera angle to work. I think maybe if I just put you here, it might be easier. Right, there's one. There's two. Right, there we go. Right, so that should work a little bit better. Good morning. Right, there's a lot of messing about on it. So, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Good morning. Happy Monday. We're here to give you some top tips today around sales and selling, in short. And so what I'm going to do is spend probably the next 15, 20 minutes just going through some of the little simple things that actually people are really overlooking in and around sales and selling. So whether you're here on TikTok, good morning. Instagram, good morning. Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, good morning. The plan here, this is some of the most simple things that are really overlooked, but actually directly impact salespeople and business owners that are actively going off and selling. So I want you to take the next sort of 20 minutes, break this down in a little bit more detail, just to give you a bit of context behind it. If you find it of use, amazing. I'm not here to pitch you for anything. I'm not going to ask you to buy anything. We're just in the habit of trying to make sure that every Monday we're dropping in before we go and do our group coaching to talk about some of the more simple things that actually are really overlooked. So whether you're a salesperson, whether you're a business owner, and you're at that stage that you want to get to that next stage. For the vast majority of people that are out there, they are overlooking some of the absolute most simple ways to go off and make money. And I'm not talking about side hustles here. I'm talking about as a business owner, as a salesperson. And there is such a big opportunity now that's really, really being overlooked. For the vast majority of the time now, people are overlooking how much, by slight changes and slight improvements, can have a massive effect on the revenue, the commissions, and the money you make. The vast majority of people out there are missing out on the bigger numbers by very small margins, but it's over 10, 15 different areas. So I want to break down some of the areas that most people miss out on, why they miss out on them, how you can fix it so you can go off and put it into your business today. All right. As I said at the start of this, I'm not here to try and do any pitching or anything else. The whole point behind this is, one, it's marketing for us. So for us, we go out and actually have these conversations on a day-to-day basis. Two, it gets you aware of what we do, and you might decide later you want to delve a little bit deeper and get in touch. If you do decide to do that, it's really, really simple. There's a video, whatever you're on TikTok, Insta, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. There'll be a link somewhere on the account where you've got a free 35-minute overview training blueprint, and there's another 60-minute sales objection handling training. So if you want that stuff, go grab it. If you don't, just sit here and chill out. We're going to probably do 15, 20 minutes before go off and do the group coaching. And I want to jump into it to really sort of give you the best guidance that I can, or maybe some areas that are out there. So I want you to think about it, whether you're a salesperson or whether you're a business owner. There's four main pillars. Two of them link inside of sales, two are outside of sales. And until you categorize these in the right way, you put yourself at a bit of a disadvantage. A huge amount of people out there now, and I talk to people every week that are doing this, but are spending a huge amount of time really, really working hard and not getting the results that they want to go off and get. And it doesn't come down to being lazy. It doesn't come down to the fact that they haven't got a good product or service. They're just doing a number of things in a way that doesn't deliver results. Now, is everything in the world about sales? No. But if you're a salesperson Or if you're a business owner that's actively trying to sell, generating revenue is a really, really important part of that. And if you're stuck with you're doing all of this hard work, but you're struggling to actually convert enough revenue or to scale the business out, there's likely going to be some of these areas. So if you do this on a pen and paper, brilliant, or just sit and absorb it and see what you want to process. So you've got one part of this, which is your prospecting. How are you generating leads within where you're at? You might be in a sales job where you get handed leads. Amazing. You might be having to outreach. Okay, what are you doing around that? If you're a business owner, how much time is spent of it? As a salesperson, how much time is spent of it? Then category 2 is going to be the actual selling part. The shit you do that actually generates revenue. The things that you do that actually move the needle. Whether that's going to be the pitching, whether that's the closing, whether, that stuff in there. And this is where most of the business owners really mess it up. Because outside of your prospecting and the selling side, you've still got the delivery of the product or service. We've got clients in the solar space. They have install teams. We've got people with info projects. It's automated. So dependent on what you're selling, depends on how much time is focused around delivery of the product or the service. And then the fourth part of it's going to be the admin. Whether you're a salesperson, you've got a really hectic CRM, whether you've got spreadsheets that you're working on, whether you're a business owner and you're trying to wear all the hats, until you've worked out how much time is being spent on each of these areas, you are putting yourself at a massive disadvantage. You really are. Because for the vast majority of the time out there, what a lot of people are doing is spending a huge amount of time focused in on the stuff they like to do. And that might be the admin, the delivery, but it's not driving revenue within the business. And if it's not driving revenue in the business, then it's not helping grow the business. Most people are stuck in a hamster wheel of activity rather than being in a productive place. And that doesn't help. Okay. So once you've worked out your boxes of prospecting, selling, delivery and admin, and you've worked out how many hours a day, how many days a week are spent on each area, now you've got to be able to look into how you can maximize certain activities inside of that space. So for example, let's forget delivery and let's forget admin for a moment. Let's just focus in on the prospecting, selling side of it for a minute. If you want to go out and be able to be more effective in sales, or you can go out now and have your business and you're selling, you need to start thinking about how can you maximize the revenue generating activities. This isn't just about working harder. And for some people really think that just work more is going to make a big difference. Sure, working hard is sensible, but actually, how much time are you effectively generating revenue within the business? How much time are you actively attempting to generate revenue in your business? And what are the tasks that you are setting in place to generate revenue in the business? When you look at the numbers and you look through all of the different areas that you've got, and you go through and go, how much time am I actively prospecting, selling, pitching, closing, whatever that might be? And then you start going about, okay, what are the numbers that are based behind this? This isn't a task that takes a lot of time, but once you've done it once, it's very easy to replicate and just look at. So you need to then track into the numbers themselves. Let's just forget it's sales. Let's say it's football. Instead of saying sales, let's say it's football. And say, okay, how much time is spent defending our goal? If you're spending 70 minutes of the goal time defending the goal, you can't spend all your time just focused on shooting, because that's not where your time is being spent. You need to work out how do we get better at defending to then get better time allocated into scoring goals. And for some people out there, they've got great overviews of all of the areas of their business. So they're not defensively having to work. They can spend more time proactively trying to sell. But here's the problem. If you're proactively trying to sell and you're not converting, then that comes down to a skills-based problem. So if you're spending 3 hours a day actively selling, and you're not actually generating the revenue that you should be generating, then that's a skill problem which needs to be improved. So what do we need to go off and do? We need to work out what are the actual numbers that we've got, what's the potential for my industry, for the size of business, for how many people there are, why am I not there right now, and what am I going to do to actively change those numbers? Because if you're out there now, and let's say, for example, in your industry, let's say that your conversion rate's 10% and the best in your industry is 50%. And you look at it and you go, but I'm working super hard. I'm doing A, B, C, X, Y, and Z, and I'm not getting that result. You've got to be able to understand why you're not actually there. And then you start working out what I'm actually going to do to change that in a proactive way consistently over the next 90 days. It makes such a difference when we proactively make a change. Because for the vast majority of the people out there, we're waking up every day and we're just repeating the same actions. And if you're just repeating the same actions and not getting the results, it's why we end up feeling overwhelmed, stressed, upset, frustrated in our businesses, in our sales jobs, because you're like, I'm working really hard, but just working hard isn't enough to make sure that you become a top in your industry. Working hard is a good part of it, but you've also got to make sure that you are being effective in those areas. So what else can we look at? So we spoke about maximizing the revenue generating activities. We spoke about tracking the numbers. But here's an area which a lot of people really overlook. What are the fastest routes to market to sell to? I'll give you a prime example. I had a prospect that contacted us about 3 months ago, and he wanted to do these £100,000 deals. And I was like, sounds great. But when we looked at how long the lead to conversion cycle was, it was about 6 months. So although he could go off and generate leads now that might convert in 6 months' time, the amount of conversations, meeting, and touch points that happened over the next 6 months, it was actually far better and far more effective to go for a smaller company where the deals were only £20,000, but they convert them inside of 3 touch points and over the space of 2 weeks. So just by changing the people you're going to and going for a smaller deal, because the lead cycle was shorter, the amount of people in the conversation was less, it made it far easier to rocket their sales. Just because it's a big deal doesn't mean it's the most effective use of our time. Just because it's more money when your deal does close doesn't mean it's the best use of our time. And it's so important that we start looking at how much time is being spent. Because if we've got a 6-month deal cycle, and in that time, the 55 people out there, someone just put who you're looking at. So I'm on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So we're on 5 different things at the moment. In case you wonder why I'm looking around all over the place. That's why. So TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. That's where we are. So it's really, really important to think about what is the lead cycle that we've got and what are the hurdles that are facing us. Let's say we put 20 companies into the start of your lead funnel and 60% of them go 70% of the way, and they take all this time, all this effort, all this energy, and then they just fall out of bed. They don't get signed off. They have to go to the board, whatever it might be. By going to a smaller company where you're dealing with a decision maker that is quick to make a decision, easier to get over the line, shorter in time frame, and less budget-wise needed, it means that you can build a repeatable sales process far, far faster. And if you're not at the stage now but you're doing that, it's so important to really start looking into it. Because so many people out there, they're selling in a way that they inherently learned, but it wasn't based around the most effective way for them to generate the highest level of sales and the highest level of revenue. So if you've got a business, for example, and you're selling into an industry which is harder to sell into, lots of decision makers, and it's so much easier for you to actually go and find a shorter lead cycle where you can go off and move forward, it will make far more sense. So That's the first 4 that I'm going to cover. The others we're going to be doing tomorrow. So pop back in tomorrow and join us for that live. We're going to be coming on probably about 9 o'clock. But it's really, really important to start looking at these areas, right? Go and have a good day today, and I'll see you on a call tomorrow. Take care.